So, imagine you walk into your garage or maybe your basement and your stomach just instantly drops, right?
Mhm.
Because there is this massive puddle of water creeping out from underneath your water heater.
Oh, yeah, that is definitely a panic-inducing moment for anyone. You just see the water and assume the worst.
Exactly. You instantly think the whole thing is ruined. But the mission of today's deep dive is actually to de-escalate that panic. Because, a puddle doesn't automatically mean your tank is completely dead.
Right. Not every leak is a fatal flaw. A lot of times, if the water is coming from, like, exactly the right spot, that leak might actually be the only thing keeping your house from literally blowing up.
Sounds crazy, but it's true. So today, we are going to learn how to play water heater detective. We're going to decipher what that puddle is actually trying to tell you.
Yeah, because you're really just looking at physical evidence. You just need to know how to read the mechanical language of the system.
Yeah, to help us translate that language, we are pulling from an incredible masterclass provided by Dave Hartzell of Hartzell's Heat and Air over in Kingfisher, Oklahoma.
Oh, that's a fantastic source.
Right. And we have to mention, Dave is a NATE certified master HVAC technician with 47 years in the trade. And for those of you listening who track these industry standards, NATE certification is a huge deal.
Oh, absolutely. It's the North American Technician Excellence Certification. It's not just some weekend course. It means passing rigorous exams on the actual physics and thermodynamics of these systems.
Exactly. So when someone with that level of credentials and 47 years of hands-on experience tells you how to diagnose a wet appliance, you take notes.
For sure. But before we even start following the water or playing detective, Dave has a very strict hard and fast rule. There is a protocol you have to follow first.
Right, because my instinct, and I think most people's instinct, is to just grab a towel, wade right into the puddle, and start shining a flashlight around to find the drip.
Yeah, do not do that. That is the exact opposite of what you should do. You have to treat the water heater like a live crash site. You do not touch anything until you've secured the scene.
A live crash site. That's a really good analogy, because we're combining two things that, well, they really do not mix well with uncontained water.
Exactly. High voltage electricity and combustible gas. You've got 50 gallons of water sitting right next to a massive energy source. Water is a conductor. It gives that energy a bridge to go somewhere you really don't want it to go.
So safety first, always. If I walk in and see a puddle around an electric heater, I'm not stepping in it. I'm literally turning around, going to the main electrical panel and flipping the breaker.
Yes, you shut off the 240-volt supply immediately. You never poke around wet electrical equipment.
Okay, but what if I have a gas unit? Obviously, there's no breaker for the gas.
With gas, you need to locate the gas control valve. It's usually situated down low, right near the base of the tank. You just turn that off to kill the fuel supply.
Right. But there is a massive critical warning here. If you walk into that space and you smell gas, like that rotten egg or sulfur smell, what then?
Then it is no longer a DIY situation, period.
You just leave, right?
You evacuate. Do not touch the valve. Do not flip a light switch. Don't even use your cell phone in that room. You leave the area and you call the gas company. A single spark from a light switch could ignite pooling gas.
Wow. Okay, so we respect the hazard, but let's assume there's no gas smell, we've safely powered everything down, and the scene is totally secure. Where do we actually start looking?
You start at the very top, and you just let gravity be your guide.
Follow the water. Okay, so up the top, we've got the plumbing connections, right? The cold water coming in and the hot water going out in the house.
Yep. And you have to think about what's happening to those connections over time. You have relentless thermal expansion and contraction. The metal fittings heat up, they expand, they cool down, they contract.
And it's doing that like thousands of times over the years.
Exactly. And eventually, all that micro movement can loosen the threads or degrade the seal on those plumbing fittings.
So if I run my hand around those top pipes and they're wet, but the rest of the actual tank is totally dry, that's actually good news.
That's your best case scenario. It usually just means a plumbing connection is weeping. A professional can easily break that connection, put some fresh sealant on, and tighten it back up. It's an easy fix.
Okay, so a massive puddle could literally just be a loose thread up top. But what if the top is totally dry? That takes us down to the middle of the tank, which is where things get really serious.
Yes. Down the side, or sometimes on the top, you'll find a valve with a pipe running straight down toward the floor. That is your TNP valve, the temperature and pressure relief valve.
And Dave's masterclass makes it very clear that this valve is basically the safety hero of your entire house.
Oh, it really is. It has a sensor that goes directly into the water. If the internal temperature or the pressure climbs dangerously high, that valve is designed to forcefully open and dump water out through that discharge pipe.
But this is where I think a lot of people make a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Because if they see water dripping from that pipe, they just think, oh, it's a leaky pipe, I'll just put a cap on it.
Oh, man. Yeah, you should absolutely never, ever do that. Tapping a TMP valve is incredibly dangerous.
Wait, really? Because I've totally seen people suggest that on DIY forums. Just, screw a cap on the end to stop the drip.
No. If water is coming from the TMP pipe, it means one of two things. Either the valve itself is old and the spring is worn out, so it's just weeping water.
Okay, which isn't great, but not a disaster.
Right. But the second possibility is that the valve is actively doing its exact job. It's venting pressure to prevent a literal explosion.
Oh, wow. So if you cap it, you're trapping all that pressure inside a closed steel tank.
Exactly. If the water inside gets superheated and the tank ruptures, all that water is instantly exposed to normal air pressure. It flashes into steam immediately.
Right. And steam takes up way more space than water.
Like 1,600 times more space. That rapid expansion is a catastrophic explosion. It can level a house.
Okay, so message received. Never, ever cap the TNP discharge pipe. If it's leaking, you call a pro to evaluate it.
Absolutely. You don't mess with safety mechanisms.
All right, so top fittings are just plumbing. The middle is the pressure safety. But what if all of that is dry and the water is coming from the very bottom?
Down at the bottom, you have two main possibilities. The first one is the drain valve.
Which looks sort of like a little garden hose spigot, right? Like sticking out of the base.
Yep, that's the one. It's used for flushing the tank during routine maintenance. Sometimes, especially after it's been flushed, the internal washer doesn't seat perfectly and it just drips.
Oh, because maybe a tiny piece of sediment got stuck in the seal or something.
Exactly. Or the rubber washer is just old and brittle. In that case, gently snugging it or putting a dedicated cap over those hose threads often completely solves it.
Wait, so it is okay to cap the drain valve, just not the safety valve?
Correct. Capping the drain spigot is totally fine. It's just a water seal.
Okay, that's a huge relief.
Mm-hmm.
But what if it's not the spigot? What if the water is literally seeping out from underneath the actual metal body of the tank itself?
Yeah, that is the hard truth moment. If the water is coming from the tank body and there are no valves or fittings to blame, the structural integrity of the steel is gone. The tank is finished.
Oh, man. So the water has literally rusted all the way through the heavy gauge steel from the inside out.
Exactly. And to understand why that happens, you have to look at the coolest piece of chemistry inside the whole system, the anode rod.
Yes, I love the anode rod because its entire existence is basically just to sacrifice itself. I always picture it like a Secret Service bodyguard taking a bullet for the steel tank.
That is a perfect way to look at it. It's a process called galvanic corrosion. You have a rod made of magnesium or aluminum suspended inside the tank.
And because of the chemistry of the water, the corrosive elements are more attracted to the magnesium than to the steel.
Precisely. The water attacks the anode rod instead of the tank walls. The rod literally dissolves, sacrificing its own metal day by day, entirely to keep the steel tank safe.
Wow. But the bodyguard doesn't live forever, right? Eventually, that rod is completely eaten away.
Right. And once the anode rod is fully consumed, the water turns its attention to the only metal left, the steel tank itself.
And water and steel always reach the exact same conclusion in the end. The steel rusts.
Every single time. And you cannot patch a rusted-through pressure vessel. Once that jacket is breached, the entire unit must be replaced.
So since we know that water and steel always win eventually, is there any way to delay the inevitable? Like, how do we catch this before it completely ruins the garage floor?
Proactive care is everything. You have to maintain it. First, have the anode rod checked and replaced if it's getting low.
Makes sense. Give the tank a new bodyguard.
Exactly. But the biggest thing is flushing the sediment out of the bottom of the tank regularly.
Oh, right. Because all those hard minerals from the municipal water supply, they kind of precipitate out and sink to the bottom when the water gets heated.
Yep. They form this thick, dense layer of mud and scale right at the bottom. And think about where the heat source is. The gas burner, or the electrical element, is at the very base.
So it's trying to heat the water, but it has to push all that thermal energy through a layer of rock first.
Exactly. It forces the tank to work so much harder. The steel at the bottom gets baked at drastically higher temperatures, which accelerates metal fatigue and basically fast-tracks the rusting process.
So routine maintenance like flushing that sediment and checking the rod, gives you the power to actually replace the unit on your own schedule instead of, waking up to a flooded house.
It's always better to handle it proactively. You get to
Right.
control the timeline.
I love that. All right, so let's recap Dave's follow the water detective method here.
Let's do it.
If the top is wet, it's just a plumbing connection.
Mhm.
If the middle T&P valve is wet, that's a critical safety vent. Do not cap it. Call a pro.
Right.
If the bottom spigot is dripping, it's a minor washer issue. But if there is seepage coming from under the tank body itself, the anode rod is gone, the tank is rusted, and it is time for a new unit.
You mapped it out perfectly.
Well, Dave Hartzell specifically wanted us to deliver a direct message to you today. If you have a puddle under your unit and you aren't absolutely certain what it means, do not wait for a flood.
Yeah, don't guess when it comes to this stuff.
Exactly. Call Dave Hartzell at Hartzell's Heat and Air. The number is 405-375-4822. Again, that's 405-375-4822. Or you can easily book online at hartzellsheetair.com.
They are such a great resource to have.
They really are. They are family-run, thoroughly NATE certified, and they've been doing this for 47 years. You can find them located at 6002 South Main in Kingfisher. And if you want peace of mind, they have 4.8 stars with over 300 Google reviews.
That kind of diagnostic experience is invaluable. When
Yeah.
someone has 47 years in the field, they have seen and solved every single mechanical failure these systems can throw at you.
Absolutely. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, my mind just keeps going back to that sacrificial anode rod we talked about earlier.
It's such an elegant piece of engineering.
It really is. And I want to leave you with a final thought about that. Consider the hitter design of our homes. Somewhere in your house right now, in the dark, a simple piece of metal is quietly sacrificing itself.
Just degrading away day by day.
Totally. And it's doing it entirely so that you can simply turn a tap and enjoy a hot shower tomorrow morning. It's just a beautiful bit of invisible engineering keeping our modern comfort alive.
It really makes you appreciate the mechanics behind the walls, doesn't it?
It really does. So next time you wash your hands, give a little mental nod to that anode rod. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us, and we'll catch you next time.